Alrighty, it is 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central across the U.S. as we go over a severe weather threat for Thursday, May 11th, 2023. I'm Weather Radar Meteorologist Becca Parker. We're going to be going over all the severe weather that is going on today and the rainfall threats that are coming with it. What you are seeing right now on your screen is the severe risk for today. So you can see how we have right across the Central Plains an enhanced risk, which is that orange there that is stretching from western Kansas down into south central Oklahoma, and also a severe weather threat area across the lower Mississippi Valley down into Florida. So we're going to be talking about both these areas today. Mostly the Central Plains is that's where we're going to be seeing a lot more of the serious situation storms that are coming through today. So I have set up in the chat a couple of links for you to take a look at as we go about today. If you've got your Weather and Radar app handy, follow along. I'll be showing all of those different tools that you can use today, and you can take a look at those different links that we have right on there, and you'll be able to find the area where you can download the app if you've not already downloaded that. It's completely for free, and you'll see all the tools. And you can also turn on your alerts, especially if you're in the Central Plains and Lower Mississippi Valley. Time to turn on your alerts so you can get those severe weather notifications on your phone, on your device, so you're ready to go when the severe storms do start popping later today. And also, we have a live blog going on the website, on the app, so you can follow along with all the latest information we've got, right? And you'll be able to see updates, current footage if there is any out there, and all the latest updates as far as severe thunderstorm watches, tornado watches, and warnings. So those will all be on there as well. And don't forget to follow all of our social media. All of our updates are there. So many different ways so you can get a hold of all this information as we go about this situation today. So, and in the chat, please feel free to drop all of your questions. I will be answering them during the live and checking on them, and also after the live. If you've got questions you don't think of until after, I'll be checking them, so no issue there. Also, if you've got a question, it's likely somebody else has the exact same question, right? Go ahead and drop it. You'll do everyone a big favor if you do that as well. All right, so we are going to get started on what this severe situation looks like. Grab a little bit of water, and we will get going here. Alrighty, you see behind me on the screen here is our weather radar. What we're looking at here is the current situation across the central U.S. and down to the lower Mississippi Valley. A lot of lightning going on, heavy rainfall, even some Rocky Mountain snow. You can see it there. And I will pull up my cursor here so that I can point to what we're talking about. Rocky Mountain snow right across here from this storm system. So you can see how dynamic the system is. It's got the cold air enough to be dropping that snow across the central Rockies, but also be causing severe weather just miles to the east. So we've got a lot going on this morning or this afternoon. It's going to continue on through the rest of this afternoon and evening as we go about the day. So, like I said earlier, we've got some cloud cover, some heavy rainfall, and some lightning going on from both of these severe storm areas. Let me give this a pause real quick. So this is the current view. We see here across Oklahoma City, just to the south here, we got some light rainfall across the city, and then into the south central area, we've got some thunderstorms going on. Get ready to see that clear out as this low pressure does move through later this afternoon. Not too much later, but you're going to see it, and I'll be able to show you later. And you can see the circulation from this low pressure right across Colorado in here. And you can see it turn as we move across the weather radar, turn in that counterclockwise form. And that's going to be bringing all of that instability to the north and east as it does move throughout the area today. So let's take a look at all the different tools that you'll be using. Follow along in your Weather Radar app if you've got it handy right now, so you can see and get to know all of the different spots that you can be taking a look at as we go throughout this severe weather situation. So, like I said, this is the Weather Radar, and you're looking at the current look of the severe storm situation across the U.S. So let's take a look at the winds from this system as well, and we're going to look at the wind radar. Also available to you right on your app. Once it shows, there we go. Alrighty, so we see the winds moving across this area here. The warmer the colors, the stronger the gusts, the cooler the colors, the lower the gusts. So you can see as we go about into the future here, into the future radar, we are seeing the winds pick up across the central plains and into the southern plains here. And there's that low pressure. Remember the circulation that I pointed out in Colorado here. That's where that is right there. And we're seeing the gusts really pick up across the area as this storm system does continue to move about slowly this afternoon. So we're going to be starting to see all of these winds, like I said, just move about and move slowly to the east. You can see where they're coming from right now too. We got a lot of wind streaming out of the south. That's what's bringing in all that warm air. And across central Oklahoma, I know it's chilly right now, but very soon you're actually going to be starting to see some of that warmer air make its way in, and the clouds do get out of there, and they actually will make room for a lot of sunlight to come through, which could really increase those temperatures quickly, increase that humidity, and you're going to start to feel like the juicy atmosphere that storms really love to feed off of. So once you start feeling that later on, you'll know that this is the area that they really like to get into. Alrighty, so this is the wind radar, and you can keep an eye on that to see exactly where the winds are coming from and why you're feeling a lot of moisture, because it's coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. It's where it's tapping all of that abundant water out of the Gulf of Mexico there to actually feed these storms and this whole storm system. And in temperatures, like I said earlier, temperatures have been warming all morning, and areas that have been seeing more sunlight than not today are already pretty warm. You can see in Dallas here, it's 82 degrees. They've had sunlight for a few hours now. Still 67 in Oklahoma City, but even just to the north there, it's even warmer. They've had sunshine today. So once these clouds do move out of Oklahoma City, you're going to be seeing the temperature does start to increase across the area here. So you can be able to check the temperature radar to see where you're at as far as the storm system goes, how it feels outside, and even take a look at when you see a storm system come through, look at how quickly the temperatures drop from that rainfall and from the storm system actually making its way across the area. You'll see temperatures drop. So this will be a good place to check out where that's happening. And finally, one really great tool that you want to have in your pocket, in your toolbox, as we are going about this severe weather system and the future ones to come, is the lightning radar. This is one of our newer features where you can see the current lightning happening right this moment. So you see here these little circles that are emulating out of the central portions of those little dots there. That's new lightning, and you can see them popping up here across western Kansas. Let's zoom in here. All this new lightning popping up across the area. When you see the lightning bolts coming through, if you see a large cluster in an area and you see a lot of lightning happening all at once, it's pretty frequent, that's your indication that these storms are pretty strong. So especially as we go throughout the afternoon, keep an eye on the lightning radar so you can know just how strong these storms are. And you can actually be able to help yourself forecast, be your own meteorologist, right, when you're using these tools, so that you can keep an eye on for yourself and also for those around you. So that's your lightning radar. So we've got all those tools down on your app that you'll be able to use throughout the severe weather situation. So let's look at what the heck is going on from this severe storm system. I'm going to bring it to one moment here. Alrighty. Okay. So let me transition here. Okay. This is what you're looking at here is a map of all the surface observations across the central U.S. So that's what these little dots here are. They show wind, they show current temperature, they show dew point. Now, what I want to make a note of is, if you can see it in here, these the red temperature, the red is the temperature, and the green, the bottom number here, is the dew point. So the closer the temperature is to the dew point, like right here when we have 66 over 64 in Oklahoma City, the humidity is pretty, it's pretty up there, close to, 90% that we're getting humidity here. But you see out here in the Texas Panhandle, we're seeing temperatures at 69, but the dew point over 43, that larger space in between the temperature and the dew point, which indicates a drier air. So what this storm system is really going to be depending on to initiate storms this afternoon is a dry line. The dry line is a gradient point where we see the right side having a lot more moisture, so we're seeing a lot more humidity in that area, versus the left side having a lot more dry air. Now, what happens with dry air is it's very dense, it's cooler, so it's going to sink. But when we have warm, water-laden air on that right side, when the cold, dry air comes in, it's going to help run into that warm, water-laden air and lift it. That causes instability, and this is what causes those severe storms to erupt. And we're already seeing here across western Kansas as this dry line and the low pressure really start to tap into all of that moisture that is there in the Central Plains. So that's what's going to initiate today. And let's get into the Storm Prediction Center, how we're going to be seeing these storm systems come up here. All right. So you see here, like I showed earlier, we have an enhanced risk across the Central Plains, a slight risk down here into the lower Mississippi Valley for severe weather. Big storms are going to be happening across the Central Plains, but we've already had a tornado watch, and it is continuing to be in effect across the lower Mississippi Valley, as the other part of this storm system is creating a lot of instability and also causing some turnup happening across the lower Mississippi Valley. So that's going to be something to watch today as well. And let's get into also what this looks like in the upper atmosphere. We're going to look at a top-down approach from this storm system. All right. So this right here, this is the 500 millibar level of the atmosphere. This is high above our heads. And this is looking at the low pressure trough of this storm system, which is, you can see right here, looks like a bowling ball sitting across the central and southern Rockies. This low pressure here is what is causing all of these issues, right? And we see a huge ridge happening right across the central portions of the U.S. This is what's bringing in all of that warm air. It's coming up straight out of the south and is creating a nice environment for the storms to be able to feed off of once this low pressure trough starts to move in and slam into that area. Also, I mentioned moisture. This is down in the lower parts of the atmosphere. This is 850 millibars, getting closer to the surface. All these green lines here indicate moisture. You can see this is streaming right out of the Gulf of Mexico. So just to show you what is really feeding this large storm system is all of this moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, which is like bath water this time of year and gets warmer throughout the summer. It provides a lot of moisture for these storms to be able to feed off of. So that's what's going to be really causing a lot of issues throughout today, not only for the severe storms to feed off of, but also flooding rains, which is what I'll get into later this afternoon, or later in this live. And I'm going to double check here for any questions if anybody has any. Awesome. Hey from OKC. Keep an eye on this system today. You're really going to need it to be able to look at your weather radar and have all the information that you need so you can go about this safely. Alrighty. We're also going to take a look at the mesoanalysis. Let me bring that up here. Alrighty. I want to bring in this area here. Okay. So, all right, so OKC, we were talking earlier about how you got some cloud cover over you across central Oklahoma. That's what this is right here. So this is the CINT, it's the convective inhibition, which means it's capping off any convective probability that we have right now. That's that cloud cover. It's really keeping everything in. However, that's going to erode as the storm system does move north and east. And we're going to see that throughout the day. And you can already see how that's been happening throughout the day. Let's go back 4 hours from this point. The area was that's that blue outline here. The area was a lot bigger where the storms weren't really going to take off because of this convective inhibition. But as we move closer into the current time, it really got smaller and continues to get smaller. So that's continuing to erode this afternoon, and you're going to have to keep an eye on when that actually erodes. That means that convection is possible. Convection meaning those bubbly clouds that you see high in the atmosphere when the storms do start to develop, those cumulonimbus clouds. That's that convection, all that bubbly that's going on in those clouds there. So we're going to be starting to see that erode away even more and see how it's already the storms are already even starting across western Kansas here as that storm system taps into all of that juicy feeding of the water-laden air and all the warm air that's happening across the area. A lot of energy for the storm system to be able to feed off of. Alrighty, let's get into what these storms are actually bringing. Now that we know what's really causing all of this, we get the top down, look at the whole picture of it. Let's get into what that means for you, especially across the Central Plains here. Going back to the Storm Prediction Center, we're going to take a look at what the threats are. First and foremost, tornado threat. We do have a tornado threat from this storm system, especially across this hatched area here, all across central Oklahoma. Now, this is the area that we're going to be keeping an eye on really close, not only across this whole area here for tornado chances. We have a 2% chance all the way coming up into the southern Dakotas here, and even down into north central Texas. But this area here where we're seeing this hatched outline, this is where we do have the possibility of seeing EF2 plus tornadoes. Now, EF2 plus tornadoes, EF2 tornadoes have winds of at least 111 miles per hour. So anywhere from there on up as far as wind goes from those tornadoes. So you want to be paying really close attention, have your alerts turned on, have at least 3 ways to receive a weather warning. If you've got a NOAA weather radio, turn it on, make sure the batteries are good to go so that this can give you all the latest information you need, especially if you do have a warning in your area. We're going to be seeing a watch being put out here very soon, especially across western Kansas, and that's likely to be extended across Oklahoma later this evening. So you'll get those watches on your NOAA weather radio. You'll also get it on any local meteorologists that are putting out information, especially for your specific area, and the severe weather alerts that you have on your Weather and Radar app. You'll be good to go to know what's exactly going on. So we do have that tornado threat, so be on the lookout for that. In addition to tornadoes, we also have the wind threat. So damaging winds that are going to be happening across this area, we're already seeing it too, especially across the lower Mississippi Valley. Winds of at least 60 miles per hour are possible. These do have the ability to pick up anything that is laying outside. So if you've got, unfortunately, if you got sheet metal, any lighter objects like trampolines that can be picked up easily, be sure if you have the time right now, if you really do have the time, go and put something on it or bring it in if you can, so that it doesn't go flying, hurt anybody else, hurt you, or even run into any property that you do have or around the area. Because these winds can really pick up a lot. You don't want to be in the way of that either. So be on the lookout for tornadoes, damaging winds. And we have one more threat coming from the storm specifically, which is large hail, especially across this red area and this hatched area where you're seeing the dashed marks here. I'm gonna double check for any more questions just in case too, because we're going over a lot of information here. Perfect. Okay, hail threat. Across this red area here and the hatched area, we are going to be seeing hail from these storms, come from these storms, but also around this area, we're going to be seeing hail sizes of at least 2 inches. That's about egg size, 2 inches on up. The storms that were produced yesterday from this same storm system across Colorado into Kansas yesterday, we're producing hail sizes up to large apple size. That's about 3 inches across, is large apple size. So we're going to be seeing some big hail here from these storms again today. Be sure to keep an eye out for that. If you have a way to bring your car into a garage or put it under a carport or some kind of parking garage, that is great to keep your car nice and safe. And with these storms coming through later on, we're going to talk about timing. If you're out and about during these storms, you don't want to be in there not only during the tornado threat, but also a hail threat, which can do a lot of damage and be really dangerous if you're in the car and the hail does come down. So something to keep an eye on. Alrighty. So, tornadoes, winds, and hail, big 3 from these severe storms. But there is one more thing that is coming from this whole storm system altogether, and that's the flooding rains. So let's get into that. All right. You're seeing here the excessive rainfall risk for today, where we see as much as a moderate risk across northeast Colorado into western Kansas and southwestern Nebraska. The moderate risk is really not only because these storms are going to be moving a little slow, but also have rain rates up to 3 inches an hour. But this area is also pretty drought stricken. And we'll show that in a minute, what that really looks like at this time. So the ground, not only is the rain going to be falling pretty quickly, which already makes it hard for the ground to be able to soak things up quickly, but we've also got drought going on here. So that also makes it pretty hard for the ground to be able to soak up water in a timely manner. So be on the lookout for any puddling, flash flooding, any streams, creeks, or rivers that you're nearby, especially around your property. Keep an eye out for that. And again, there's your chance to have at least 3 ways to receive a warning for any flood warnings or flash flood warnings that do come out for your area. So something you're going to want to keep an eye on as well, in addition to these storms, is the flooding rains that could come with it. Also for the lower Mississippi Valley, where rain rates also have gotten up to 3 inches per hour for some of these storms and are continuing to do so. And this is in effect until tomorrow morning, Friday morning, around 7 o'clock in the morning. So these moderate risks, the slight risk, and the marginal risk really show a lot of rainfall being produced from this whole storm system, a lot of active weather going on, and especially if you're in an area that is prone to flash flooding, you're going to want to keep a close eye on this system to make sure that you turn around, don't drown, don't be in an area where this is possible, and especially driving through flooded roadways, the water is very likely to be a lot deeper than it may appear, and it can be very dangerous to drive through. Also, if you're walking through it, just turn around. There could be stuff in there you don't want to be walking through as well. Debris, animals, bugs. You don't want to be walking through that. It can be very dangerous. So turn around, don't drown, don't get bit by bugs either if you're walking through it. Just turn around. Alrighty. So we talked about the flooding, the threats, the top down, and also what it's looking like right now. So, oh yeah, let's take a look at the drought too, just so you can take a look at what that looks like across the area. This is the last 2 weeks. This is last week compared to what the new analysis is for today. So you can see this area. Let me zoom in here. Across the Central Plains, a lot of drought has been going on, up to a level 5 drought. which is excessive to, I'm losing what it's called right now. But anyway, there's a lot of drought going on across the Central Plains here. This is going to be great in the long term, this rainfall that is coming through. Short term causes the flooding problem. So be on the lookout for any flooding in that area. And we're likely to see some improvements as the storm system does move through in the next week. So keep a lookout on the drought monitor too for this area. So you could likely see some improvements in this next week from the storm system. Alrighty. We are also going to just take a look at what the weather radar looks like for this afternoon. There's your lightning radar, stuff really popping up across the western Kansas area into northeast Colorado. But let's take a look at the weather radar and what that is showing for this afternoon. Timing wise, we want to know what kind of timing we're looking at for these storms as they move through. Alrighty. Perfect. All right, Oklahoma, you can already see this rain system starting to move off to the east here. So we could see a lot of movement when it comes to that cloud cover later today as the dry line does move further into Oklahoma. You can see the clearing starting across western Oklahoma later on. Alrighty, let's take a look at this line. Perfect. All right, this is about 3 o'clock Central Time. So it's getting close to rush hour for this afternoon. For those of you who are maybe heading out early, something you want to take a look at is across western Kansas, where we're going to be starting to see those storms pop up. And we showed that earlier. We're already seeing some cells pop up at this time. So the weather radar is going to be able to show you all along this line what these storm cells are looking like. And let's move a little further in time right along this line here. Perfect. So we do see some storm systems popping up along that line as it does move to the north and east. And these cells do pop up along central Oklahoma later this evening. So what's looking like for Kansas when it comes to timing, we're looking at pretty much now through the early evening hours where we can see the most severe weather. Oklahoma, we're going to take a look at between 5 and 9 p.m. So first portions of the afternoon commute through after dinner, right? When you're taking a look at these storm systems moving through for the most severe moving through. But that doesn't mean that you want to stop looking after they've moved through, just to make sure that you've got all your bases covered. Have your weather alerts switched on. Have your NOAA weather radio switched on to make sure that we are good to go and you can hear it, even if there's nothing else. Don't rely on the sirens in the area. Sometimes it's really hard to hear, or you might be sleeping, so you don't want to rely on that for these storms to be moving through. So please keep an eye on that. Have those alerts switched on in your app and your NOAA weather radio good to go. And I'm going to double check here to see if we have any of those watches issued at this time. Okay, there it is. We have the watch that has been issued for western Kansas into eastern Colorado. Let me bring that up here. All right, I'm going to turn me off real quick so you can see. All right, there's that tornado watch that we are looking at for this area for western Kansas into eastern Colorado. And we are taking a look at this area for the storms to be moving up as they turn along that low pressure and move up to the north and east. These cells are going to be capable of producing tornadoes, so something to keep an eye out for this afternoon. Have your weather alerts turned on and be sure that you're ready to go if you do get a weather warning for this area. Oklahoma, we're going to be seeing that pop up later this afternoon as the storms do start to pop up. Be on the lookout for another watch to be issued. Alrighty. I'm going to double check for any more questions really quick. Make sure we are covering all our bases, and we're going to wrap up here. Awesome. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Meteorologist Becca Parker. We're going to be taking your questions all for the rest of the day, so be sure to drop them in the chat. Send them in a user support question into your app if you really want to as well. Also online on social media too. We'll take your questions there too. We'll have the live blog going as well to keep you updated throughout the day. All right. Thank you all so much.